Hello everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of Purple's discussions for Super Smash Brothers 5? Switch? 4.5? Whatever it is. So, real quick, in the last part, I said that, I said all my ideas for the first player mode, classic, the return of adventure mode, the gist of all that. My ideas for rewards and all that, and in this part I am going to be talking about stages and music, more of what I feel what stages should be cut and what stages should return. Like I said before, this isn't going to be a very long part, although when I first recorded this, my first session was over 2 hours, so I'm going to try to cut that drastically. Along with stages and music, I might talk about some miscellaneous things, but we'll find out. So, I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. So, first off, originally I was going to go with another script or something, and I was going to talk about something completely different when it came to stages, because a lot of my experience with stages is mainly through the Omega forms of them. And as I played them, I realized that, man, these Omega stages are really similar. And I would get them mixed up with their normal counterparts, specifically tour-like stages where it's a floating platform that goes around a moving background. Just for context for this video, I played every stage that I had. The only stage I don't have is Peach's Castle 64. But I played all the stages I could just to get a good idea of if my theory held any merit as to them being similar as they were, and needless to say, that's not the case. So, I'm glad of that. So, the one thing I'm going to discuss first off is Omega stages and what I feel they should be doing with them. First off, I'm going to go ahead and state for the record that Final Destination is probably one of my favorite stages in the Smash series. So when I heard that Omega stages would be Final Destination stages for everything, I was more than overjoyed about that. I mean, yeah, I'm boring in the sense that I just like a plain flat stage, but it was more I like the background, the epic, like, transforming background and the purple stage from Melee. I just liked all of it. And also it had some of the best music in my opinion because it was this really dramatic version of the theme of the game. So the one thing I had a problem with before was the same thing that Sakurai pointed out during his direct when he showed off Omega stages, was that now we could listen to a lot of the songs that we couldn't before. So, just to summarize, I like the idea of Omega stages, and I do hope that they are not going anywhere. I want them to stay in full force. However, a lot of the Omega stages need to have some sort of change to them, scenery-wise. Half of my reason for some of these stages being cut is because their Omega forms look too similar to each other. Like, for example, Woohoo Island and Pilot Wings. Unless you're looking at the title of the level or what the stage like platform is, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So if there's one thing I would recommend that they do is something that they did with the 3DS version in one particular stage, which was Prism Tower from the Pokemon series. In that stage, the regular stage is during the daytime, and it's a tour stage. And it takes you all around, I think it's called Luminous City, Luminois, I don't know. but mainly around the tower that is the center of it all. However, in the Omega version, the thing that changes is actually the time setting. Instead of daytime, it becomes nighttime. It's a subtle change, but it's one that I love above most of the Final Destination Omega level stages. So what I was thinking is, although subtle change it may be, I recommend that if they were to continue with these types of Omega stages, they need to have that type of diversity, because I mean, look how many Omega stages are in during the daytime. Without certain scenery differences, they all blend in together too much. Now, personally, I don't think every single stage needs to be Omega'd, or at the very least, what they should do is have their own tab of Omega stages. And for stages that don't return, at the very least, make Omega variations for people to play on. For people who either just like that type of scenery, or, and not the actual level, or something like that. Like, for instance, let's say no one likes Luigi's Mansion anymore, but they like the scenery of the mansion, so just give them just this Omega stage. You know, something like that. That being said, it's a little tricky to pick and choose which stages, so I'm not really going to drive this point home too much. But one thing I want to add is that although they have a compromise with Omega stages and regular stages, a lot of people have been complaining that there's just not enough stages competitive wise unless it's the Omega stages, which a lot of people get bored of because they like platforms. Personally, I don't care because I can go without platforms, but to remedy at least the battlefield issue, what I would do is make alpha stages or beta stages, whatever you want to call them, which are basically each stage in the form of a battlefield type formation. Now, I know that some stages automatically have this, but some of them also have stage hazards, like Wispy Woods is blowing, or Midgar and its summons. But I figured that each stage can also have a battlefield-esque type of setting too, because that would help a lot of people stop bitching in terms of the competitive scene and having more stages to work with. I'm not really a competitive smasher, I'm more casual, so that's a thing. That being said, I can also see that being too much development for them to work with. But, I don't know. It also kind of defeats some of the purpose of having For Glory, where it was always Omega stages, but I don't know. At any rate, the only thing that I really want to change is just the scenery, because, like, look at this Omega stage of Sky World. Wouldn't it be nice to also have a nighttime version of this? I mean, I know it's in the heavens and all, but I'm just saying that weather effects and different times of day really can make a difference in the atmosphere of the battle, especially in an Omega stage where it's just you and your opponent. Like, honestly, with the Final Destinations the way they've been, I feel they're a little too dramatic. Honestly, what I wouldn't mind is something akin to the opening intro for the N64 version, where it had Mario and Kirby about to battle it out in just some plain area with lightning and rain around them. I mean, they could do something like that for a Final Destination. I think it would fit. Although with the concept of Master Hand and the core and all that, I can understand if they wanted to keep the same theme that they've been going with, and that is some sort of different dimensional space thing. It's neat. It's just sometimes being simple can yield its own rewards, you know. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get into my list on actually, before I get into my list on cut stages and returning stages I'd like to see, I'm just going to go over briefly about my take on the music too. And again, these are all my opinions. If you have a different opinion on how these should be done, like I said, go ahead and leave your comment in and just, you know, tell me everything that you would like to change or bring to the table, because I'm all ears. Alright, so first thing I want to note is that this technically isn't considered a fighting game in some aspects, and so it's more of a party game. So I can understand where some of the music doesn't fit, and it's more of just listening to classic music based on what series is being represented, of course. That being said, a majority of people consider this a fighting game, and in some aspects I do too. So that being said, I feel a lot of the soundtrack should mimic how it should be a fighting game, and what I mean by that is that something that just fits with the theme. Like, you want to be able to immerse yourself in the fight. So have themes that go well with that. Not just the regular main theme of a game. Like, pretty much every Mario theme that's in this game. There's very little in terms of battles. Like, there's the boss battle with Bowser from Mario Galaxy that's a theme. And then I think something from Bowser's Inside Story. But otherwise there's like the Egg Planet stage, there's the regular Mario theme, the underwater theme in its 8-bit glory. It's like, themes like those, the last ones I mentioned, do not fit in a fighting game in my opinion. I mean, maybe if you want to be really silly, but there's no motive to really go along with it. I feel like it's more of a parody than anything. And this goes for a lot of themes. So, personally, I would like to see them devote more time into action, fast-paced-ish remixes and themes. Remixes of themes to get with the flow of the fight. I mean, they can add in regular themes too, like the original soundtracks for certain songs, like, let's say, Kid Icarus Uprising boss battle music, because that's a good theme in of itself. It doesn't need remixing. But other themes like, let's say, what would be? Like Gourmet Race. Maybe not Gourmet Race, that's probably a bad example, because it already has a good theme in Halberd stage. I'm trying to think. Let's see, Sonic doesn't really have a theme. I mean, he does, but he also doesn't. I guess just another Mario theme, for an example, or a Donkey Kong theme. Instead of it just being the classic tune, just to like have something a little more fast-paced, a little more guitarish. I know that may sound edgy to some people. I'm more of a metalhead than anything. Like, I like that guitar riff and shit. I'm not a music person either, so I might get terminology wrong. I'm also an idiot too, if you haven't noticed. To a certain degree, but I digress. But yeah, usually when I think of fighting game music, I think of fast-paced stuff. I mean, you guys have an idea if you watch our Smash session videos. with for mods. They're pretty much the type of music that we would go with in terms of a fighting game. So, I mean, you know. Let's see. But yeah, that's pretty much how I would do it, or how I'd recommend they do it. And I mean, it's okay to have like the classic themes and all, but I feel that they should just focus more on remixing something to fit with the theme of combat. Also, the idea of remixes in general, like why why not more remixes? Because I feel that there should be more remixes. I mean, I know that there's plenty, but again, some of them just don't feel like they fit, and others, well, I don't know. The thing is that looking through, I don't see many remixes that fit, and then there's remixes that are taken back from Brawl. But not even counting all those, I feel that there's some songs that, or some stages that really were not done well. A lot of people know one, for example, in the form of Midgar, where it only has 2 songs, but you look at a stage like the Umbra Clock Tower, Bayonetta not only has several songs for her, but she also has 2 remixes based on the battle themes from her games. So that needs to be fixed should something like that ever occur again, especially if Cloud and Bayonetta come back. Although I mentioned that all these songs should have some sort of fast-paced rhythm going, not all of them need to be fast-paced. Like, for example, something like Destroyed Skyworld is actually one of my favorite themes in this game. It's a very ominous song, and I love it. It actually helped me calm down when I was first driving. But that's my thoughts on what songs should, how they should go in the music department. I'm not very in-depth with it, and I didn't really think too much on the music after going over some of it, because really, there's not too much to harp on. So that's why this part's not so lengthy, I guess, in terms of music. Yeah, I digress. Anyways, actually I don't. Whatever. Anyways, moving on to stages. Originally I was going to give a reason as to why I don't want some of these stages in and why I want some of these other stages returning. But the result of that ended up being a 2-hour long video. So I'm gonna go over my list of what stages I would like cut from the game, and then I'm going to give a summary on some of them as to why I'd want them cut. So I'm also going to be including 3DS stages and Wii U stages. So, well, I'll just say 3DS stages, because some of them had, well, new stages in them. So, let's see. I'm going to start off with 3DS, and some of them may lead into Wii U because some stages are shared between both games. Alright, so starting off, Golden Plains from the Mario series, the Paper Mario stage from the Mario series, Mushroomy Kingdom from Brawl and the Mario series, Mute City, the 16-bit version introduced in the 3DS, Prism Tower from Pokemon series, the Unova Pokemon League or End Castle from the Pokemon series, the Game Boy Dreamland from the Kirby series, Flat Zone 2 from the Game & Watch series, the Reset Bomb Forest from Kid Icarus, Distant Planet from Brawl and Pikmin, Tomodachi Life from Tomodachi Life, the Find Me stage from the Street Pass game of the same name, the Living Room from Nintendogs, the Balloon Fight stage from balloon fight. Gower Plains from Xenoblade Chronicles. Green Hill Zone from the Sonic series. Brinstar from Metroid and Melee. And Jungle Japes from Donkey Kong series and Melee. For some of these stages, it ranged from them being side scrollers, which I hate, to being ground stages where it's just a flat surface with no pits, and a majority of people can easily cheese these stages by standing on the outside of the screen and then throwing their opponents off screen when they have little to no percentage. So those stages I kind of have problems with. Not like problems where people are doing that, but just the idea that they can. I don't want to give them that leisure to be able to cheese other people, other unsuspecting noobs into such a thing. To explain other stages like Paper Mario and the Reset Bomb Forest, they're stages that I like in concept, but I hate in their execution. For example, the Paper Mario stage has 3 different transitions from just a windmill area to a pirate ship to Bowser's Castle. The windmill area I find is pretty small, and the fan can be very obnoxious to avoid sometimes, especially in in free-for-alls, so to speak. The pirate ship is a fine idea, although it feels a little weird to figure out where you are sometimes. That's just me though, so I don't have much complaint on that. It's the Bowser Castle one that has the most problems with me, and that is the fact that there's not a lot of footing to go around, and the biggest attraction being the Bowser head that rotates in the center makes it even harder to gain your footing. So there's that with the Paper Mario stage. In terms of the Reset Bomb Forest, it's more of that I like half of the stage, the castle ruined area, but when it comes to the actual Reset Bomb Forest, I don't like how they split up the debris and ruin parts, because everything feels so jagged and small. It's more of just waiting for the stage to return to what it once was. So for these stages, I wouldn't say they need to be removed completely, but I would like to see them redone in some way. Because I'm not a hater on Paper Mario getting representation in the form of a stage, but there's definitely some things that they can be doing. Same thing with the Reset Bomb Forest. Other stages fall under the category of either they're too small and easy to die through bullshit. There's stages that are returning that I didn't really care for in the first place in their original game, like to some degree Distant Planet and Mushroomy Kingdom, especially Mushroomy Kingdom. I hate that stage, honestly. And then there's some, like I said, that it's easy to die, like the Find Me stage. It's a very small stage, and the obstacle there being the Great Green Demon thing has a weird mechanic in that he's not an average boss like the other bosses, in that you can't really defeat him, and he not only gets in your way and can attack you by doing nothing but just being obnoxious, he also gives random buffs and debuffs that don't really seem to do anything in the long run, at least from what I gathered. But those are the gist on just the 3DS stages I don't want back. When it comes to the Wii U, I figured the best stages to get rid of would be Delfino Plaza, both Mario Kart Circuit and Mario Kart Circuit Brawl, or it's just Mario Circuit, the Bridge of Eldin, Luigi's Mansion, Skyloft, Yoshi's Island from Melee, the Great Cave Offensive, Orbital Gate Assault, the Colosseum from Fire Emblem, Own It from Earthbound, Pokemon Stadium 2, I almost read that as PlayStation Stadium, Skyworld from Kid Icarus, Gamer from the Game & Wario series, I believe, Smashville from Animal Crossing, Wrecking Crew from Wrecking Crew, 75 Meters, the original Donkey Kong, Wii Fit Studio from the Wii Fit series, Pilot Wings, Pac-Land, Suzaku Castle, Windy Hill Zone from Sonic, the Miiverse stage, and Peach's Castle 64. Alright, to start off with a couple of things. First off, with some of these stages, a lot of them are tour stages, or at least some of them are tour stages, and I feel that we don't really need that many. It kind of, in my opinion, takes away some creativity that they can have when just developing a regular stage. Now, that's not always the case, mind you, but I don't know, to me, they feel like they blend in together too much. I feel that stages like Skyloft Skyloft and Delfino, mainly Skyloft, just don't fit well with that type of setting, where you're on a platform flying all over Skyloft and then going to certain set pieces. Now, what I like is that the platform actually changes, but and it actually has certain things like arrows that match the symbols that are in the town, or you know, it fits the theme well is what I'm trying to say. But I don't know, I feel that there's better set pieces that they can use for something like Skyward Sword, and Skyloft is not the one that comes to mind. I don't hate Skyloft, but I don't care if it doesn't come back. Bridge of Eldin and other stages like Skyworld are something that I also don't really care to see come back either. Again, they're not terrible stages, but I feel that in terms of a series like Zelda, they can use a lot more better set pieces for stages like, I don't want to say Kakariko Village, but like Zora's Domain in Twilight Princess. I know there's not much to Zora's Domain, but what I mean is that using a basis of an area like that, or Hyrule Field, and then changing it to the Twilight Realm version, and then going back a little bit like Bayonetta's Umbra Clock Tower, where it changes from the regular world to Paradiso, or whatever it's called, Heaven. Stages like Yoshi's Island Melee, I feel, have overstayed their welcome and have not aged well, unlike levels like Temple from Melee. So I won't miss them if they don't return either. Pokemon Stadium 2, I feel that they can remake into something like a Pokemon Stadium 3, where I'll have the benefits of changing environment from Pokemon Stadium 1 without being too intrusive, and having the graphical style and, well, for lack of a better word, prettiness that Pokemon Stadium 2 has. Let's see. There's other things like Gamer that has an obnoxious stage hazard, which hopefully they take note from PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. The ability to turn off stage hazards. And then there's some stages like Pilot Wings and again the Mario Kart levels that really blend in way too much. Like the Final Destination Omega Form, whatever you want to call it, versions of Pilot Wings and Woohoo Island are almost exactly the same in my opinion. Like, you cannot tell me that you mistaken them for each other at some point while playing on For Glory or just playing Final Destination Omega Form. Damn it. Yeah, so at least get rid of one of them, and if you were to get rid of one of them, I'd say it should be Pilot Wings, because you don't play as a plane in this game. I mean, you can play as a me, but not a plane. Let's see, other levels I just find badly designed, like 75 meters from Donkey Kong. Wrecking Crew is just a lamer version of Icicle Mountain, which I thought was an okay stage already, being auto-scrolling up instead of auto-scrolling left and right, because having to jump all the time I find is better than just running to one side. Suzaku Castle feels like an incomplete stage. Literally, it looks like it's under construction. Miiverse is just Battlefield with shit posting or just really weird drawings or bad cheering posts. Although I would like to see it come back, I don't think it will, and I don't think it should if they're not going to remake Miiverse in some form. I wish they would, though. At any rate, Colosseum is another flat stage that, again, it's easy for people to just go ahead and throw others off, and although it may seem like I hate flat stages like that, there are some I like and some I do hope that return. And it's weird, especially considering that it's for some games that I've never really played, like the Egg Planet. Like, I keep saying like, I've only played Mario Galaxy once, so normally I shouldn't have an attachment to Egg Planet per se, and there's not too much different from that from other flat stages, but I prefer it. I just do. Probably because it's in space and it has a different background scenery as opposed to the normal daytime crap. But I was talking about Colosseum before that. I feel that Colosseum could be done better, and in my opinion, I feel it has been done better. And that's with another Fire Emblem stage that I'll get into in just a second. Peach's Castle 64, nice stage, but I feel that there are better Mario stages, and we don't need any more than we do, which is why a lot of Mario stages I put on the list, in a sense, because there's just too much of them. The Mario Kart circuit ones, the Brawl one in particular, is so boring. That's why I put it on the list. But the other one that represents Mario Kart 8, I only put on the list because if we're going to represent Mario Kart 8, let's represent a better racetrack. In the 3DS version, they have Rainbow Road, which is fine because it's at least different. But let's try a different stage, like Wario Stadium, for example, or Yoshi's Course. Maybe not Yoshi's Course. I think Wario Stadium would be much better, because not only does it represent Wario, it represents the Mario Kart series. Let's see, Luigi's Mansion. I feel that they can do a new one in the form of a Dark Moon Mansion, and they have, I think, 5 of them to go on, so there's plenty to work with. Hell, you can merge all of them together in some form, just in a different way that's not like this Luigi's Mansion. Orbital Gate Assault from Star Fox. The only reason why I put it on the list, aside from it just being a clusterfuck of different set pieces, in my opinion, I feel that they have more potential with the game prior than with Assault, because for those of you who have never played Star Fox Adventures but have heard the horror stories of it, first off, it's not that terrible of a game. It's nothing special, but it's not terrible either. I mean, if anything, the game is gorgeous. At least that's how I see it. And there are so many different set pieces that they can use as stages for Star Fox Adventures. Thorntail Hollow, Moon Mountain Pass, the Ocean and Volcano Force Point Temples, Cape Claw, the Lightfoot Village, Dark Ice Mines, the Snowhorn Mountains, I think, the Cloudrunner Fortress, the Walled City for the Earthwalkers, that's also home of the Red Eye Tribe, Dragon Rock or something, Krazoa Palace. There's so many different areas that they could use. I think Krazoa Palace would actually be the best choice because I'm a sucker for rain and it's always raining there. So please, like, try out something from Star Fox Adventures, Nintendo. It wouldn't hurt. Besides, it's just so fucking lovely. Anyways, last stage I want to bring up in this list is Smashville, which I know a lot of people in the competitive side love, but this is my issue. Town and City more or less is the same thing. I mean, if it's not, feel free to correct me, but it's the same damn stage. You're not really going to convince me. Do we really need two of the same stages? And no, Omega stages don't count. And with Miiverse, at the very least, they had the posting from other people, but that was its own gimmick. And that stage is more or less another battlefield. So, I mean, you could make some argument with that, but that was also a stage that was made after the game was released. They decided to put two of the same stage in here, essentially. So why not take out one of them? And if you're going to take out one of them, take out the one that's older, because Town and City is based off of New Leaf, if I'm not mistaken. So lastly, I want to talk about stages I'd like to see return. And the following, again, from 3DS to Wii U, would be Rainbow Road from Mario Kart, Gerudo Valley from The Legend of Zelda, the Spirit Train from The Legend of Zelda, Magicant from Earthbound, Arena Ferox from Fire Emblem, WarioWare Incorporated from the WarioWare series, Tortimer Island from Animal Crossing, PictoChat 2, the Pac Maze from the Pac-Man series, and Duck Hunt. I don't think there's a difference between the Wii U and the 3DS version. So to go over these ones real quick, Rainbow Road is unique, or, well, not unique, but rather it's a different type of Mario Kart stage. Gerudo Valley, I find just a pleasure, has lots of charm to it. Can be a little annoying with the Twin Rova, which is constantly like changing up the area, but I think it's a pretty nice stage. The only issue I have is the little platform and the pit in the center. I would just recommend that they make the pit shorter, that way it's easier for people to escape or just die, and not have that where people can camp out. Of course, this is a bit of a grounded stage where people can hang out on the side and kill with a back throw if they're off screen, but I think there's also some remedies for it too. That it might just be nostalgia talking, because I do love Gerudo Valley. Still though. The Spirit Train, I like driving stages or stages that are moving at a fast pace, which is why I also want Big Blue to return. Just gonna throw that one out there. But with the Spirit Train, the only thing I would want them to do is decrease the amount of times the camera pans around the train, because I feel that there's too much going on way too fast. Although I never played Earthbound, Magicant has become my favorite Earthbound area, the only other one being Foreside. or Foresight. I don't remember what it's called. It's from Melee, but Magicant is such a beautiful place and very trippy, and I love all of it. The only thing I would change is the Birdman that's around the right platform, because he could be a little bit obnoxious and give a player an unfair edge. Sure, he can be taken out rather easily, but the fact that he's there just kind of makes it really annoying to fight other people fairly without having to go to Omega form. So if they could at least take him out or something, I think the stage would just be perfect, because I do love that stage. Very beautiful setting, beautiful music, and just the weirdest shit comes out of nowhere. Arena Ferox is basically my ideal version of Colosseum. It's not grounded, it's got a pit, and it has changing platform mechanisms. So I would like to see that return over Colosseum anyways. And at least it's an established area, unlike Colosseum where it's ambiguous. Is it, would I say ambiguous, or just interpreted to be canon, I guess? I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. It could be something from Path of Radiance or Radiant Dawn, because I never played those games, because Nintendo hates the GameCube and Wii virtual consoles. But I digress. WarioWare is one of my favorite stages in the Smash series, just because of how wacky it is. And sometimes with characters like stopping to do the prompts that come and go, it's just a real nice break from all the beating up you're doing. Let's see, Tortimer Island. I like it because it's a unique Animal Crossing stage that's not just a plain platform with another one that's floating around, or two. At least it's an island with various fruits, sharks, and coconuts that can be used as weapons, even though the villager eats them whole like it's a Tic Tac. PictoChat 2 is something that I've grown to slowly love, that has quite a bit of potential and some that I'm still learning. I just need to play it more. The only thing to change is some of the hitboxes on some of the stage hazards, and the corners from going like downwards, because it feels like I'm a trip. And then the Pac Maze, I find, is a perfect stage for Pac-Man as opposed to the Pac-Land area. I understand where Pac-Land comes from, but that doesn't mean that I prefer it over the neon colors of the Great Pac Maze. Not to mention the platforms are more organized like a Pac Maze, so that's nice. Although I would like the option to get rid of the ghost, but keep the power pellets just for a visual pleasure. And then there's the Duck Hunt stage. And although I don't want the character to return, more on that in the next part, I do want his stage to return, because it's another stage that I've grown to love, and the only thing I change from that is the camera, because it's too zoomed out. If they just zoom it in just a tad bit, I could enjoy it to the fullest. But otherwise, I don't really have any complaints on it. Aside from the dog that randomly pops up as a platform, instead of having people teabag all the damn time, they can at least take their time while waiting for the opponent to recover to shoot ducks that are flying around. If they're not edge guarding, or they can't. But going on to the last list, for returning stages that were shown off on the Wii U, Big Battlefield from the Smash Brothers series, Mario Galaxy or the Egg Planet, the Temple from Melee and Zelda, Norfair from Metroid and Brawl, Yoshi's Woolly World from Yoshi's Woolly World, the Halberd from Kirby, the Lilac Cruise from Star Fox, the Kalos Pokemon League from the Pokemon series, Town and City, Palutena's Temple, Hyrule Castle 64, the Super Mario Maker stage, the Pirate Ship from the Zelda series, Midgar from Final Fantasy, and the Umbra Clock Tower from Bayonetta. Big Battlefield would just be a reassurance that 8-player Smash would be returning in the next Smash Brothers, because although I've never had more than 2 people to play Smash Brothers with me, just the fact that I would have the choice of being able to play with 8 people, I want to be able to maintain. As I've mentioned before, I do like the Egg Planet level, or Mario Galaxy stage in this. I don't really have a reason why, other than probably the setting is much more different than other stages. That being said, I've only played Mario Galaxy once. If I haven't mentioned that earlier, I'm pretty sure I did. And I've never played Mario Galaxy 2, so technically I shouldn't really have a connection, but that's the power of Smash Brothers, I guess. The Temple is a classic stage from Melee, and it was one of the only stages that was actually fun to play on if you didn't have Final Destination or Battlefield to play on, assuming you like those stages too. Temple is one of those stages that I think you can always have fun no matter what Smash Brothers you're playing, and I think should just be a staple, much like Battlefield and Final Destination. Norfair is a rather unique stage, being just 5 platforms with several different lava hazards, and I like how they do these lava hazards personally, because they're all different. They may work off of the same element, but they're at least always different. Not to mention, it's pretty much the only Metroid stage that actually utilizes hatches, which I was sad that no other Metroid stage used, so I'm glad that this one at least did. Next is Woolly World, and although it can be considered a grounded stage, it doesn't stay like that forever. So at the very least, it has quite a bit of diversity, and it always keeps you moving without it being an auto scroll. It's a nice change of pace, in my opinion. I mean, there's probably other stages that have done the same thing, but I can't think of any at the moment. The Halberd, I feel, is the Temple of Brawl, in that it's just a mainstay that should, well, stay. For some reason, it's competitive, even though it has a stage hazard, so one thing I would like to ask people is, why is it a competitive stage? Someone please tell me. But personally, in terms of Halberd, I like the background imagery. It's just dark and foreboding, something that a lot of stages don't have, so it's nice to see it in this stage. The next one is Lilac Cruise, and as you've seen with this replay, well, I can't really compare it with this replay because it's a Final Destination stage. But Lilac Cruise, basically with Lilac Cruise, it's Battlefield with 3 even platforms, not one higher than the others. It's a nice stage, and I love the dog fighting in the background, and the crew's burning up into the atmosphere on one of the planets only to go into like another dog fight, I think, against Starwolf, if I'm not mistaken. It's nice, although I wish the codec conversations, or whatever they are, were more memorable. Let's see, going through the list, there's the Kalos Pokemon League, which I find is the most fitting stadium, considering it's the last area, and, well, the real Pokemon League of the Pokemon series, as opposed to these stadiums that are more based on the anime, at least in my opinion, or, well, Pokemon Stadium, the now retired series from the N64 era. I do wish you had your choice on what background to take, because there's at least 4 different options, but I'm fine with what it is. Although if they're to bring back another Elite Four stadium, I would recommend doing the Sun and Moon one, because that one I feel has tons of potential, with it being a dome and showing the outside when they can project that to multiple different images. Let's see, Town and City, like I said, Smashville and Town and City are the same, so if I had to pick one, just go with Town and City. It's the newest one, and besides, in my opinion, it's a lot prettier. I like the color. Let's go with that. Garden of Hope from Pikmin, I find is a more definitive Pikmin stage than Distant Planet. That being said, Distant Planet feels more natural. But if I had to go with one that represented Pikmin in all its glory, to an extent, I think Garden of Hope does it just a tad better. That being said, I only played Pikmin 3 and I haven't even beaten it, so I could be wrong. My main love for it is that it's bigger than Distant Planet, so there you go, that's my reasoning. I understand if you don't like it. Palutena's Temple from Kid Icarus Uprising. I like the idea of a whole bunch of mishmash set pieces from different areas all combined into one. My only thing is get rid of that one temple that keeps ascending and descending in the upper left hand corner, because hardly anyone's going to remember it, and if they stay on it for too long, they're going to end up falling into the background. Hyrule Castle 64, personally one of my favorite 64 classic stages, and I'm glad they brought it back. I love the theme that comes with it too. The classic Ballad of the Goddess main theme. I have no real issues with it. I think it's a faithful recreation, because I think they made it from the ground up. I could be wrong though. Actually, no, they did. So I'm glad with the finished product of that. And yeah, I couldn't ask for any other stages to be returned from N64 other than the Metal Cavern or their version of Battlefield and Final Destination. Let's see, Super Mario Maker is probably the most unique stage that they've ever made, and it's always supposedly different, and really it would be a crime if they left that stage out in the next Smash Brothers. That stage is so much fun, and you should be ashamed if you play it on its Omega form without being on For Glory. And then my last 3 stages are Pirate Ship, Midgar, and Umber Clock Tower. The Pirate Ship is a returning stage from Brawl, and I'm a fan of the Toon series. The Pirate Ship has a lot of set pieces that I do enjoy, and overall my main biased opinion on it is that there's rain in it. It's not very long, but it at least has a weather effect that I enjoy very much, and one I hope that other stages incorporate come the next Smash game. Midgar is a basic battlefield type stage with a stage hazard in the form of materia to summon, well, summons Ifrit, Ramu, Leviathan, Odin, and Bahamut Zero. I only know these guys by names and some of them from other Final Fantasy games because I never played Final Fantasy VII. But I do like what these summons offer as stage hazards, and I would like to see them again if Cloud comes back. Just please give him more music for his stage. 2 tracks is such a downer. And then lastly, we have the Umber Clock Tower. I like the fast-paced falling down from wherever they're falling from, and it never ending. I don't like how long they spend in Paradiso, Heaven, whatever you want to call it, because I feel they spend way too much time in there, like in terms of background scenery, but otherwise it's just a nitpick. The stage is a flat-ish, basic Final Destination type stage with random platforms in the form of debris that come and go every so often. It's a nice stage, and it's another stage I do hope returns if Bayonetta is to come back. Overall, that's all the stages I gotta talk about. Just like this stage, for example, though, if that had rain in the background or changeable weather, I would love it 10 times more. So I hope that they decide to do something like that. Should they bring back some of these stages and give them Omega forms? Give something else different besides just a flat stage. Like in Temple, like the stage is flat and normal and different from anything else you'll find at the Temple stage, but where's the where's the different backgrounds and such? Something to really put you in the mood for a fight. Something that makes it more epic than it should be, I guess. At least with Gower Plains, it changes from day to night, but that's not enough for me, because I'm a whore. At any rate, that's all I got for this part. It's actually still longer than I expected, but it's under 2 hours, and after I do the editing, it shouldn't even be that long. So that's my thoughts on stages that should return, come back, and in terms of new stages, I think I'm going to save that for my newcomer video because they'll kind of coincide better. But next time on my discussion videos, I'm going to be talking about returning veterans, who's going to get cut, or who I feel is going to get cut or should get cut. You already know one of them. And then veterans from past games returning, and then people who are staying, what they should do to revamp their gameplay. And I have a lot to talk about on that, so in the meantime, comment below, tell me what you thought, tell me if I've gotten worse with my commentary. That's not important really, honestly, but you can go ahead and comment on that. Comment on what stages you would like to see return for the next Smash Brothers, what stages you don't want to return, and same thing for music. Do you want them to remix certain themes in the form of other song remixes, like those heavy metal remixes of Mega Man? Oh, that would be nice. Or, you know, just something along those lines. Probably in the last video I'll talk about the miscellaneous things, but at any rate, I spent enough time here. So yeah, go ahead and leave a comment there, comment on my Twitter, tell me what you thought and what you think that they can add or take away. And I will see you guys for part 3 for the veterans. See you next time.